What's up? I don't even want to do the intro because you guys already know. But I guess I will sit up straight for you. So, I'll do it, I guess. If you guys didn't know, if you're late to the party, I'm Gabby. I am currently a MPH student at Tufts University in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was a health science student at the University of Florida getting my undergrad degree. This video is number 3, I believe, in my little Countdown to CASPA series. In case you didn't know, we're doing weekly uploads for the month of April. Counting down to CASPA opening time. And I'm answering your questions and doing all that stuff. So the first video in this series, if you haven't seen it, will be linked down below and up above, whichever side it is. And it is my PA school decision reaction video. The second video is how much PA school cost me to apply to. So, a really fun topic. Today's video I'm actually very excited for because I get asked it all the time, at least in real life. So, it is why I decided to pursue a dual degree. For those who don't know, I'm in a dual degree. I am a PA MPH student. I'm getting a master's in public health and my physician assistant studies degree. 2 for the price of 2. Like 1.5. But let's get started. So, a little bit of background. My laptop is here. If I'm looking in this direction, that's what I'm looking at. I wrote notes for you guys. So you should really be very happy. I am coming into this with a plan. So hopefully I don't ramble too much, but I am a yapper. It's in my name, Gab. I talks a lot. The connections of the day talks a lot today. So figured it was only fitting that I talk a lot today. I really felt seen by that category. Alright, so a little bit of background about me. My major in undergrad was health science. And it was in the College of Public Health. So a lot of our core classes were kind of intermingled with both public health students, and they had a lot of public health concepts that we learned about, we talked about. It was a great time. So it kind of served as like a, hey, maybe I like public health and I want to know more about it. And little like 2 birds with 1 stone, our mandatory electives that we had to take kind of also fit with getting a public health minor. So I decided to get a public health minor, and I took a lot of fun classes that I really enjoyed about like substance abuse and mental health, and like just learning like the history of public health and about different health disparities and all that fun stuff. Kind of fun. But so that was my background going into this application cycle and what I wanted to do, which was ultimately be a PA, but kind of how I could incorporate public health into that in my discovery. So when I was considering what schools to apply to for PA school, because that was my big focus, was PA school. I want to be a PA. That's the overall goal, PA. So when I was looking at schools, my main like starting point in finding a school was, where's the school located? I had like kind of an idea of where I wanted to go. I knew I didn't really want to stay in Florida. I knew I kind of wanted to go like northeast or like just stay on the East Coast and be closer to family, kind of, if you can count like a 3-hour flight close, but like not across the country. So I wanted to stay on the East Coast. My prime states that I was looking at were like North Carolina, Massachusetts, or like specifically Boston. and I looked at some schools in like Connecticut. So once I kind of had my list of schools, I then, or at least my list of states, I looked at all the schools in those states and kind of sorted through their like culture of the school and if my prerequisite like that I had even met with them. And this list was like growing, shifting, changing throughout all of undergrad. So if you're watching this like early in your college career, definitely okay to not know where you want to go yet. My list was completely different before spring break of my junior year when I came to Boston for the first time. So because I eliminated all of the West Coast schools after this trip and I added 4 Boston schools, so 5 total. So literally was a complete 180 little shift, but it worked out eventually because we're here. So once I had my list and everything narrowed down, I looked at which schools had dual degrees, and out of the schools I was applying to, only 3, I believe, had dual degree programs with the PA and MPH. So that was Yale, Tufts, and Northeastern. 2 are in Boston. And Yale was the only school in Connecticut that I applied to, and it was also the only school with the dual degree option that required a separate application. So I had to complete the CASPA and the, I think it's SOPAS or SOFAS, which is the like public health centralized application service, and then CASPA is the PA centralized application service. So I had to complete both for that one, or I would have had to. I decided not to apply to their dual program, spoilers, but just because they required, it was like, since you have to complete 2, you have to pay another application fee. My LOR writers, like my references, would have had to submit the reference to another place, and I felt like that was kind of a lot to put on them, so I just decided not to do that. So I only applied to Tufts and Northeastern's dual degree program, which both were like through CASPA. You just like click a yes and then you answer some extra questions. I will say, for people interested in this track as an option, I'm gonna go more into like why I did it, what are some like concessions or limitations that might be present, like why people are like you should or shouldn't do it, because it's kind of like a mild topic in the community. Like it's not like people are racing to go get their MPH or like they're picketing to not. It's just kind of like like some people have like mixed opinions and some people have strong opinions, or some people have no opinion. They're like, whatever, I don't care about that, which is fair. So when you're applying for a dual degree program, you typically can't back out of any part of it. It's like a pair. So like if I decided at some point in the application process whether I got in or not, if I decided I only wanted to do the PA part, I would have to like completely withdraw my application to both schools, like to both Tufts and Northeastern. Like they are, like that is your application. That's not like a negotiable thing. Like if I decide to do only the MPH, it's not negotiable. You have to do both. For most schools. I will say there's other schools around the country. I'm not sure like what their requirements are because I didn't look at them because they weren't in my desired place to be. But that is something important to note. And like I think Tufts, at least, they disclose that like you do have to be interviewed like by the PA program and follow the PA program's admissions, but then also like I think the MPH program has to want to accept you as well. So like it's like a 2-for thing, I guess. I could be wrong on that though, I will say. And then like timeline wise, looking at the differences in the combined degree versus just going straight PA for these 2 programs. For Tufts, both the PA program and the MPH start in January at the beginning of the spring semester. So there was no difference in there. Like it's just like literally like your MPH starts in January of 2024. You complete it for across 3 semesters, so spring, summer, and fall of 2024, and then in January of 2025, you start the PA. Easy peasy. Northeastern's a little bit different. They start their PA program in August of whatever year that they start. And the MPH part starts in January. So you do your MPH January to August, so spring and summer. And then you take, I think it's 1 or 2 additional classes, including your PA coursework. And you take that like throughout while you're in the PA program, which I might be wrong about because I didn't interview there, so I don't know like exactly how they do things, but that was the vibe that I got from online, was that you're like adding on to your coursework, so that's why it's more challenging for them. And they basically give you less time to complete it because their PA program starts in August. But it, like, you either way, you complete, you graduate, you got both degrees. So as for why I decided to do this to myself and why the 3 other people that are in this program with me, my little tiny cohort of us, why we decided to do this, but this is just speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for them, although we have talked about it before, and we're all pretty similar with like our career goals and like what we were kind of projecting. So for me, I wanted to ultimately be a well-rounded provider and provide better quality care to my patients. And I also really liked the option for like non-clinical work in the future, whether that be like research or moving into a completely public health based field. That was really interesting for me. So for me, getting a minor in public health introduced me to topics like health disparities and the importance of recognizing like barriers to access that would impact my future patients. So my MPH has like already given me real world experience, like working with like quality improvement methods and implementing an intervention, and we're just in the first semester, but like that's how it's kind of set up, at least at Tufts, that you get real world experiences working in populations of interest, whether that be like it's your population of interest. So like I could have identified like substance use or mental health or like LGBT populations or cancer or maternal health. Like there's a whole bunch of different populations subsets that you can look at and work at and complete like your practicum experience, and like you get that real world experience prior to learning about the patient. So it's kind of like you get the population focus like in a broader scale, and then once you're in the PA part you kind of narrow in on individual patients, individual treatments, but at least that way you kind of like, as a provider, when you're treating a patient, you can kind of think about these external limitations that might be existing in their lives that are impacting how they receive care, how they get care, how they're compliant with their care, and like what things that they have access to, and potentially like what extra services that you may know of that they may not know of that you can offer to them. Like if you have a patient who's like low income and it's a mom and baby, you can refer them to WIC potentially if they're like in need of like food or different services like that. So it's like just having that like broader knowledge outside of like just a course, because the Tufts like PA program on its own has like a small class on public health. So you do learn about it a little bit, but it's just like to a maximum extent. Like I can take whatever classes I want. Because my concentration as an MPH student is PA, like it is being clinical, it is with that end goal of treating patients, seeing patients, and having like a real world impact at like a different scale than like if I were like a health policy or like an epi-bio concentration. Like I don't have to take like 4,000 biostats classes. So it's like you kind of make it whatever you want. Like if you want to learn more about healthcare, if you want to learn more about like law, conflict, like there's a whole bunch of different classes, like social marketing. It really kind of is what you make of it, but I just thought ultimately it would improve my ability as a provider and make me more well-rounded in how I treat my patients. And then for like a potential I described it as like another open door. Like if I'm looking at my future and I have PA door is open now, I also have another door, an MPH door. So I have 2 doors potentially that I can go down at some point in my career. Obviously PA is going to be the one that I want to go to first, but if it ever comes to the chance that I might want to like reduce my clinical workload or work in a non-clinical setting or do things like research or administration or management or like just general public health, because I like that too. Like I could do like advocacy work or policy. It's just another route that I could potentially go to, which I thought was great for me. Like that's like the whole reason why I want to do PA versus MD is like you get more opportunities. So it's just like another opportunity on top of that. And then for limitations and considerations, like when you're potentially looking at getting an MPH degree, the biggest one that I've seen talked about, and that was a factor for me, is the cost and the time that it takes to get the degree. So for the Tufts program, it's around $30,000 just for the MPH part. So that's on top of your PA school tuition. It's an accelerated program, so you're completing it in a year versus most MPH programs are around like 2 years to 3 years on their own, and you're paying that full price for that. So like our program has some courses that are in the PA part that double count, like nutrition and primary care and like I think professional practice, that count towards the MPH in addition to the PA degree. So it kind of eliminates or it lessens the amount of classes that you have to take. So it makes it a more like expedited process and cheaper compared to just getting the MPH on its own. So for me, this is really great. But I can see where, like, depending on your financial or personal situation, it may not be worth it to invest an additional $30,000 and lose out on that year of PA wages, which is average, I think, coming out is $100,000. So it's really just like a cost benefit analysis that you have to do for yourself. Like if you think it's worth it, it's an investment, like ultimately. I think that's like the biggest one. And I will say that for me, my timing wasn't really an issue because I did get in my first cycle. I just turned 23. I'm gonna graduate like just shy of 26. I'll have like 2 months to find a job or else I get kicked off my parents' health insurance. Or I guess not or else. It's before I get kicked off my parents' health insurance. So it's like that's my little rush. But if I have to just pay for health insurance for a little bit, that's fine. But I know that at the state that I'm in right now, I'm like, it works for me. Like the timeline is fine. I'm not in a rush, especially when you're comparing it to like med school. Like it's 3 years compared to 4 and I get 2 degrees. But if I hadn't gotten in this cycle, I don't know if I would have applied for the MPH part in a further cycle. So I probably would have just done the PA part. So would have still been on the same timeline-ish, like 2026, 2027 graduation. Another comment that I've seen a lot, and I saw it a lot when I was doing research for this video to be able to talk about it to you guys, is that some people criticize that there's a lack of use in practice, especially for newer providers. And that a lot of the public health jobs that are available are more beneficial to those in their like mid to later levels in their career or to physicians rather than PAs. With that, I will say I can understand like it not being influential like early on in my career. Like I likely won't use my MPH actively at the beginning of my career. It'll be more of a passive in how I treat my patients, how I interact with my patients, how my patients perceive me as a provider, which is fine. Like I'm okay with that. But that's where it does become like an investment kind of thing, is that you're going multiple years potentially where you've invested this money in this degree that you're not exactly getting direct financial compensation back for. And like an MPH is not likely, like if you're compared to another PA, an MPH is not likely to get you a higher salary or like more likely to get you hired. Like a lot of places don't even look at it initially. So like unless you're planning on going into one of those routes that I mentioned before, like research, administration, management, or like actual public health work like policy or advocacy, I can see where it's like not the best option practically. What it is just an investment in yourself as a provider at the end of the day. And some people don't want to do that, or they would prefer to like go back to school later on in their careers if they decide that they want an MPH. But I know for me, even just like the summer or like the summer and fall that I took between undergrad and grad school, that was a perfect amount of time, like where I felt like I got work time and I got to be like in the workforce. I was working, I was prepared to work for a while, and then everything changed once I got off the wait list. But like for the other people in my cohort, I'm the youngest one, so they all graduated in a year before me. So for them, that's like an extra year that they've been out of school. So it's harder the longer you're out of school to go back, unless you have like the motivation or the drive to do so. And if you decide to go back to like a full-time in-person program or like a part-time in-person program, you still have to manipulate the rest of your work schedule around that. And so that can be really difficult for people. Or you can do an online part-time program, but I feel like you're sacrificing the quality of the program that you're attending if you do an online program. And for me especially, having been through the COVID Zoom online school thing, I really don't want to ever do an entire school online ever again. That's like not for me. So I just know that I don't think I would be motivated enough to go back to school, but I know that I will benefit from it in the future, or at least I think that I will. Can't really say for certain because I don't know what my future is gonna look like. Plus, when you go back, you're taking the full thing. There's no accelerated, expedited, cheaper. It's the full degree in its full extent. You have to do it, so it's more expensive, could be more time consuming. One really big thing that I've seen is I don't think can speak to lack of satisfaction in the role, because PA is still a great career. It's that a lot of providers are getting burnt out pretty early or after a while once they're in their mid to later careers, and they want to make a switch to either completely non-clinical or a reduction in clinical work. So having the MPH just kind of is an open door for them. It's like an off-ramp in their path and their journey of their career, where they don't have to worry about going back to school. Like they don't have to have like reduced options, basically. It just gives you more options if you do decide that you want to switch up later on. So I think my ultimate takeaways, the PA MPH is an individual decision. Obviously consult your parents or whoever is like your support system, like if you have a partner or your friends and your family, because it is a really tough process. Like I already am a little nervous for the PA part, I would say. The MPH is pretty good so far. We're going pretty chill. I actually have spring break. Next year, very different. So I think that it's something that you need to sit down and think if it's beneficial for you. And also, are you okay with the monetary loss of a year? For me, it was the same mindset of how many times will you apply? Like if I didn't get in last cycle, I would have kept going, kept applying. That's still monetary loss, where I could apply to a different type of school. I could apply to med school and take the MCAT. I wouldn't be happier doing that, but that's still monetary loss. You're still making a choice. So it's comparable to that. So that's where I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for listening to my rambles and my spiel. If you have any questions about the dual degree or about PA school or the MPH program in general, or about Boston, Tufts, literally anything, the application process, ask away. Comments below. My Instagram is always open for my DMs. I have regularly responded to people about classes, CNA stuff, literally anything. The GRE, it's all open for questions. So that is all linked down below. My videos and the rest of this series will be in a playlist. Will also be linked down below and in the information bar up at the top. And that's, yeah. My social medias are linked down below. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe even for more videos. Maybe I'll bring this back next year if you guys have more questions and you want me to answer them. Yeah, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever, wherever you are. And I will see you next week.